Dinner and a Book is supported by the Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation of Elkhart, celebrating the spirit of Alice Martin and her love of good food and good friends.
Meet Nevis, widow, Tuscan through and through, and a survivor. She has recently lost her husband of 50 years, and loneliness has set in. Today, let's explore the book Nevis by Italian writer Sasha Naspini. And let's meet my guest, Laura Horst, to see what's next. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, me too. This is great.
And where did you find this charming little book?
Well, we heard a review on Fresh Air on National Public Radio, and it just sounded like a really great book, and got it from the library and really have enjoyed it.
Well, I really thought it was amazing and lots of fun. I just wanted to say, too, that we have some Tuscan food today. Tell us what you're going to be doing.
Well, I'm making creamy chicken Florentine, and I'm going to start out by dusting my chicken and putting it in the pan and letting it cook for about 4 minutes. In
All
some
together,
olive
or-
oil. Yep.
All
We're
right.
just going to start out with that, and then it ends up with some onions and spinach, mushrooms, etc. And then I'm also going to make some deviled eggs a little bit later.
Well, in honor of a chicken, we have in this book a chicken that becomes sort of the early star of the show. And but let's talk about how we get into this. I mean, how we arrive at a chicken in this story. As I said, Nevis has lost her husband of 50 years. And she doesn't cry. She doesn't cry at the funeral.
No, she's sort of, well, I'm sure she's sad, but maybe you get shocked, and she just doesn't show any emotion at the beginning.
Right.
And her daughter is there, and things seem to be fine, and then her daughter leaves.
Yes, and it's very quiet. So being on a farm, she decides she needs an emotional support animal, creature. So she brings a chicken in the house, and it's called Giacomina. So we have here in front of you, in front of me and Laura, a special chicken today, and we're calling it Giacomina. And this is such an interesting concept. It's not a poodle, it's not a rabbit, it's a chicken.
Right.
And it sits with her when she watches television, and the chicken sleeps next to her, and she feels so much better.
Right. I think she got the idea, if I remember right, she got this idea. She had all this insomnia. Then she got the idea because she remembered her mother had, when she was waiting for, I think, a brother that was at war, brought in a cricket. So, I mean, any kind of animal could be a support animal, really something to make you feel better.
Or it has a certain
Right.
rhythm of,
Right.
chirping or fluttering
Something
or
like
something.
that.
But so we do call Giacomina a very important part of this
Right.
story. Nevis has found her husband dead from a heart attack in the pig pen. And there's just so much going on. And then all of a sudden her life is so quiet.
Right.
And then she is watching, well, I better get started here. I'm making a
what are you
a
making?
special salad. It's a panzanella, and it's from that region. And it's actually, if you have a kitchen garden and you have some 4 or 5 day old bread, and mine is all dried out, I'm going to tear it into pieces.
That's
and
great.
Then I'm going to chop tomatoes and cucumber and red onion, and I've got some black olives, and I have to find them. And then we will put olive oil on it, cover it, and let it just sort of season anywhere up to 4 hours, and then
Just on the
serve it.
counter.
Yeah, just
Wow,
on the
that
counter,
sounds
right?
great.
Nothing is going to spoil.
Perfect.
And so I'm going to get started on that. You're doing the accompaniment to your.
Yeah, the first step is browning the chicken. And then after the chicken is browned, we'll brown it on both sides. We put it in a little flour with salt and pepper. And then we will take the chicken out and put in some vegetables. So mushrooms and some garlic, a little bit of onion. So I'm going to get those other things ready.
Sounds good. Oh, and Nevis has grown all of this food, and you know, it's the life of a farm person in Tuscany. This is a typical dish, and you know, yours is chicken Florentine.
Right.
Well,
Right.
Florence is not far from
Yeah.
where this farm is. So, and I have to chop up some tomatoes. We're just making chunks, and that's why it's so fun to do this salad. And what I did, and it was a bit of a mistake the first time I made it, I just did first the bread, then I did the tomato, and then when it came time to stir it, the bowl was too small.
Oh dear.
So I'm making layers of this, and then we'll stir it. And so, of course, she's got a kitchen garden, steps right outside to get the food.
Oh, now
Boy,
I got
that's a
one
quick.
side nicely browned already. So we'll flip it over, and it's just going to take a couple minutes for that second side.
And you are chopping up the vegetables that you're going
Right.
to
I got to
use.
get going on these mushrooms.
You know,
So
I just wanted to mention, I'm supposed to take some of the juice out, but then have a little juice so it is absorbed and wets the dried bread, the 4-day-old
Right,
bread. So
right.
what's up now?
well, I was just thinking about the book. At
Oh,
the
yeah.
point she brings the chicken in, it really is a good accompaniment to her. She feels comfortable. She's much more relaxed.
Yeah, there's a living thing in the house with her.
Right. But then,
Lo and behold, she says, is that what my husband was to me? I can replace him by a chicken?
right,
And this perplexes her.
right,
That's
right.
one of the first little notices in the book. And I kind of interrupted you, but was that what you were going
Yeah,
to say?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and she's kind of mad about it. And, you know, what kind of marriage did I have that I can now be comfortable with the chicken? So anyway, so, you know, internal thinking and talking. So she's watching TV one night, and there is a
Oh, the
Come on.
Tide commercial.
Tide commercial.
Right.
The chicken is sitting on the chair with her on the arm of the chair. And what happens?
Well, the chicken is watching the Tide commercial and the spinning around and gets sort of hypnotized. And then you think, what? Her chicken's hypnotized, and she sort of gets upset, kind of a little bit, freaks out, right?
Yeah.
And
She shakes it.
doesn't know what to do, shakes it, tries to wake it up, and nothing's happening.
And by this time you're saying, what kind of a book is this? Well, it goes on to a phone call that then becomes
Well,
a novel.
right.
So what does she do?
Well, I'm going to just tell you, I browned this chicken, so I'm removing it then from the pan.
All right.
So I'll just leave it right here. Whoops.
And I'm taking a lot of these seeds out, but I'm leaving some of the seeds in for some
Right.
juice. So,
So then she calls the vet. Well, you know, you're on a farm. Wouldn't you call the vet? Of course.
Sure.
So she calls the vet, and this vet is not just sort of a regular person. It's in a small town. You know everybody for your whole life.
Oh, yes, you do.
So this person, his name is Lorano, and he has known her for a really long time, their whole lives.
They all grew up together.
They all
Everybody
grew up
knows
together.
everybody.
Right, everybody knows everybody. So they start this conversation, and of course she's saying, what do I do with my chicken? It's stuck here. It's not moving, and he suggests a few things, including smelling salts of all things. And she says, well, should I really use smelling salts? But then eventually, the conversation moves on from there to their
Yes.
sort of their childhood or their teen years growing up. And we kind of find out that she was friends as part of a group of girls with his wife, Donatella. And and they did various things as young teenagers and young people would. And one of the things that happened to that group was one of their members ended up jumping from a bell tower because of, well, I guess we shouldn't
We
give
shouldn't
away everything.
everything.
But,
In a pink nightgown.
yeah, and a
And
pink
that,
nightgown.
that even describes
Right.
that.
And so then they were, well, Neves, she says that maybe that the ghost of this woman is haunting them, you know, because she kind of goes into a whole thing about that. Anyway, the story just keeps unfolding. And the thing about this book is you start reading, and there aren't really chapters, but it just keeps drawing you into the story. And all of a sudden you realize you're hooked into this drama and this life of these people that lived in a small Tuscan village. And
they
how,
were probably sweet on each other, as my dad would say, sweet on each other.
there you go.
When they were younger, and there might have been more to it. And I think
There might have.
and I think Donatella, the wife of I can't
Loreno.
remember- Loreno, she snores a lot, and they know when she's snoring that she doesn't hear what's going on. But I think she's heard some of this conversation. I have
Right,
this feeling.
right.
And anyway, all this is dredged up from their youth, and people don't talk about these things. And if you stay in town with people, what do you do if you were in a situation where you'd kind of like to forget about stuff and then it
Yeah.
all comes out? Well, so that's the story here. And it is a phone call that really becomes the whole story. And we're going to take a little break here and finish chopping, cutting, and set up for our next part. And we're going to have a wonderful dessert drink. And you're going to work with the eggs from Giacomino.
Right.
We'll be right back. I'm back to my panzanella Tuscan salad, and what are you going to do next to
Well,
this
I've been
creation of
cooking the
yours?
vegetables in some chicken broth with a little bit of lemon juice. You could also use wine if you'd like. I'm going to add in some cream
Wow.
and then top it with, I decided to go with some just frozen spinach. So it's really an easy thing to have everything ready. And we're just going to put that spinach in there, and it's going to cook. That's the Florentine part, spinach, right?
Right near Tuscany.
Right. And then the
Florence.
next thing to do is to just put our chicken breasts, kind of nestle them back in there and let them cook for a little bit.
And that's wonderful. And this is a beautiful dish. It's now. Would you serve it in the pan, or would you?
You
take-
could, or you could put it and scoop some of the sauce and put it over the chicken. I'm going to add just a little bit of Parmesan on the top,
Beautiful.
and we'll save some for when we're serving it as well. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's dish number one. I'm still working on my panzanella, and I've torn up some more bread, and I'm chopping the tomatoes, cucumber, red onion, and then I'll add some salt and pepper and black olives, and then I will pour olive oil on top, cover it for at least a half an hour, and the bread will absorb all these juices from the vegetables with the olive oil. And this keeps you busy here doing all this chunking. So,
sounds great. The other-
and my second dish, you're doing in the
yeah, I'm going to do some deviled eggs. So
deviled
I
eggs, and I'm
boiled
doing
them,
the
cut
drink.
them up, and now the yolks are ready, and I'm just going to smash them with a part of a fork here to get that.
Beautiful, beautiful yolks.
Yeah.
My. And this is a great meal, and it's I don't want to say simple, there's always work to do, but it's not like you have to,
It's
you know.
quick.
Yes.
It is a quick dish. This is a very quick dish. You can serve it with just bread, or you could serve it with like a pasta if you'd like to have a little pasta with it. And a salad, obviously.
A salad. And for the drink, I'm adding some Prosecco, and another nice touch
Oh,
that really
raspberries?
does complete this drink is to add a couple of drops of vodka. But we don't have vodka here today for some unusual reason. And then you top it with some sherbet, and I have chosen a mango sherbet. And I think I'll let this settle down, pour some more, and then you serve this as dessert
Nice.
And it has a funny name. It's Scrapino, and somebody told me you pronounce it like a horse that's kind of whinnying and making a noise,
Oh.
and I can't do that very well. So anyway, it is so easy, and it's really a lovely, fascinating dessert. So I think I'll just take some ice cream.
I added,
Yeah.
I added mayonnaise to my egg yolks, and then the only thing that this is different than maybe your regular mom or grandma's deviled eggs is I'm putting in some green olives with pimentos. So I'm just going to add those in. This is sort of that Tuscan kind of
Yeah.
thing with olives, and then that's going to be our filling. A little salt and pepper.
That's the first. I've put in other things like capers, but this looks like a nice idea. I like that, and it's
Yeah.
colorful.
Yeah, it is.
And I think what I will do is get the mango sorbet back in the freezer, and Giacomino is still sitting there
Frozen.
waiting.
Hypnotized.
But
Still
as we
hypnotized.
talk about this second part, we find out what happens to Giacomino. Mina.
Well, eventually she snaps out of it. So even though we are worried about her, and she is worried continually throughout this really long conversation, she's worried about what's going to happen to her support animal. You know, this is something that's made life better for her and less stress. And but at the same time, you know, she doesn't know what to do with a hypnotized chicken, and the vet doesn't really know. It doesn't offer many suggestions. A few.
No, and they're talking and talking all through the night.
Right, and it's
And-
all about their lives and things that maybe she had wanted to share with him years ago.
Yes, and never did.
Never did. I mean, as a young woman in a rural Tuscan village, her, you know, her life was limited. It had
Very
a lot of
limited,
limits,
yeah.
and so he's finding out things that, as a man, he did not ever know was happening or didn't have that perspective from a
Right.
woman.
So this is an interesting, and then I want to tell you more. And you remember, and did you know about your wife?
Right.
And did you? And they're
Right.
they're very intrigued with this kind of a conversation. As I said, a nighttime conversation turns into a book, and you think, well, this is really strange. But when you think about it, it truly is a fascinating concept that this Italian writer, Sasha, has come up with, and it does hold your attention, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And I found it was kind of a page turner. You're like, well, I'll keep reading till the next sort of stop, and there really wasn't a stop.
No,
but it's a
because
very small book, so you can sit and read it.
Right. And then, of course, we find out that Giacomina snaps out of her trance, and life is happy again. Well, when she even gets up and lays an egg. I mean,
Yeah.
she's so contented. And so you think, what a book. But it is so well written, isn't it?
Yeah.
And translated, too.
Right, right. And twists and turns and surprises. You sort of feel like you're the fly on the wall listening to this conversation as the evening goes along. Like you said, you know, it started out at 9 o'clock, and at 2 in the morning they were still talking.
Yeah, and I would like to see a little bit more of Giacomina. I mean, she serves as a launching point for this story, but I kind of like to see her, you know, moving on. She and her mistress and how they come along. But of course, that would probably wear itself out, you know.
Well, probably. But it also is, you know, I'm wondering at the end, does she, after she's had this long conversation, does she even need Giacomina anymore in her life? Has she kind of gone through and processed a number of the things that she had in her life by
Yeah.
having this long conversation?
It refreshes
wonder.
her. But you know, we don't want to ask what happens to Giacomina in that case.
Well, true.
But I read reviews. People just thought it was fabulous, except one person said, "Oh, boring." You know, I thought they have no imagination. They can't see the interest, the human nature of this story.
So
And-
used 2 spoons to fill up the eggs.
Yes.
Kind of take a scoop and put another scoop. Sometimes people use a piping tool, but because of the olives, that makes it a little tricky.
Yes.
So, and then I'm just going to get and just decorate these with one little olive piece for each one. I just think it makes them look really pretty.
I saw you put the olives in. Did you add anything else?
No, just the olives, some salt and pepper,
Yeah.
and the mayonnaise. And you know, you can kind of do it to your own taste, whatever suits you. The olives, because of the vinegar and that kind of thing in them already, they add a lot of flavor
Yes.
to the eggs. So
And I'm adding now, I'm tearing up basil. You can leave it whole if they're small leaves. I've added salt and pepper. The first time I made it, it really needed more layering and it needed more salt. But you can always add that, it's very easy. And these last few slices, chunks, they call it cucumber chunks, tomato chunks, chunks of bread. So it's a chunky salad.
yeah.
That's what it's all
Well,
about.
and it's really pretty looking. I
It
mean, it just
is.
is a really beautiful salad.
And if I'd had a clear bowl, that would look nice too. And this was, it's a very typical salad, as I was saying. I haven't put on any oil or vinegar. My dessert is kind of simmering here. Not simmering, what is it doing? It's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's sort of, I don't know,
Yeah.
getting together. And actually, this is ready for us whenever we're ready.
Whenever we're ready,
The
yes.
chicken is ready. So at this point, I would just have it ready to serve. You'd take one big scoop of it and put it maybe on a plate for people.
And you could even cut in parts too. I mean, you could
Yeah,
have pieces.
right. If you wanted smaller pieces, you could definitely put smaller pieces in there. One of the tricks is to take the chicken breast and cut it horizontally so it makes it more the same thickness, and then they cook nice and fast like they did this morning.
Okay, I'm finishing up my salad. You're ready.
Yeah.
We have an hors d'oeuvre, we have the main
Right.
dish, we have a salad, we have a dessert. So
Yeah.
we're setting our table. The chicken will come with us.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely, she will.
She's great. And so we want you to join us too. So right now I want you to take a look at the menu and we'll be right back. Well, today my guest is Laura Horst, and the book is Neves, and I've been calling it Knives. Of course, the Italian, you got me straight on that one. And we've made a Tuscan meal. What makes it a Tuscan meal, other than it's produced in Tuscany?
Right.
I think this salad is very simple to do. And it's chunks of everything that you want to put in there. But basically, you know, I've got olives, black olives, and red onion. It's colorful, tomatoes, cucumber chunks, and then stale bread. I don't mean moldy bread. I mean just a
Day
couple
old,
of days,
yeah.
day old, a couple days old. So, and then just olive oil on top. And then I did the dessert drink that I cannot really pronounce correctly, but it ends in P-I-N-N-O. Scrapino. That's it. And tell us what you did.
I made the creamy chicken Florentine, which is chicken browned and then with spinach and some onions and garlic and mushrooms, and a little cream and some. The sauce has cream and either wine or I used chicken broth today. I also made some deviled eggs with some green olives in, just sort of thinking that tie into Italy and olives.
Yes. Very
there we go.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just love this meal. I mean, it's colorful. It basically is simple. And
Easy to do.
Easy to do. And I think a dessert drink is often fun. It brings a little bit of excitement at the end of a meal. And of course, we've got our good friend, the chicken here, Giacomina. She's here with us. What a story. Oh my gosh, I'm glad she was so satisfied when she came out of her her funk.
Hypnosis,
Yeah,
yeah.
hypnosis to lay
Yeah.
an egg.
Right.
She's
There you
back
go.
in business. So, gosh, this has gone by very fast. And I think we can find families like this all over the world.
That's right. That's right. Small towns and tight knit relationships, and
Yeah,
just that
yeah.
interaction with people.
Interaction, right, close relationships, even with our animals. So, we're glad you joined us. Thank you for suggesting the book and coming on again.
Absolutely.
Love to have
it's my
you.
pleasure.
And thank you for watching. And remember, good food, good friends, good books make for a very good life. We'll see you next time.
This WNIT local production has been made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Dinner and a Book is supported by the Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation of Elkhart, celebrating the spirit of Alice Martin and her love of good food and good friends.